want to give the user as authentic an experience as possible within a genre. To make this music feel like the era. So that the music becomes less about the specific sounds, which we do spend a lot of time making sure are authentic, as much as we want the sonics and the songwriting to reflect the conventions of that specific type of music. I've always had an interest and attraction to the world of film and television, and I've been looking for a way to marry those two things, I think, my whole life, and so I feel like this is kind of a culmination of those interests and skills coming together and converging into a music library that you think is really strong. I usually go with a theme that I'm extremely fond of, or a genre I'm extremely fond of, and we jam it out like any song would be jammed out with any normal band, and when it's at its peak we record that. DOA were an incredible band from Vancouver that we looked up to, and we're a little before our time. We kind of came in during the second wave of punk with Nirvana. That's my era, in those kinds of bands. Green River would come up and play. A lot of Seattle bands would come and play because Vancouver is only a couple of hours away from Seattle, so there would be a lot of cross-collateralization between those two. No Means No was another incredible band we used to see. There's a lot of incredible artists in that area, in that space and time. And my musical journey started with, I was a bassist and performed in a lot of bands. I was strongly attracted to the drums after that because I feel like bass and drums are kind of connected. They're almost like the same instrument in some ways. They're definitely two instruments that work in harmony with each other very closely. I had an early TIAC 4-track cassette recorder in the early 80s, and we used to track a bunch of interesting music with that, and that was when I was getting into music and getting in bands and getting into various kinds of music. A couple in particular are kind of like two sides of the same coin. One is punk, the other is rock. So I think coming from, I would say, late 70s all the way up to late 80s, early 90s, we were talking about a war between the punks and the rockers. So one side's rock, one side's punk. One's called Scariant, that's the punk side, and that's a high-octane punk thrill ride. Great for extreme sports, any type of wall-to-wall, back-to-back, exciting promo type stuff, extreme fighting, etc. Another album I like is Damage Control, which will provide a lot of the rock side of the equation. Roadhouse, barbecues, rolling down the highway, motorcycle, road trips. One of our favorite placements recently was on a show called The Big Door Prize from Apple Plus, which featured one of our tracks, 1 to 0, from the album Damage Control. We were working with Anna Klein on that project, and it turned out great. Some upcoming releases from Thorvald on APM are Lords of Leather, which is a dirty, gritty, leathery rock and roll, four on the floor type of album, suitable for all things motorcycle. Roadhouse, which is kind of a 70s era feel-good cruising music style album, good for any type of bar scene, travel down the highway type scenario you might have. The Best of Garage, which covers a wide range of garage era from 60s all the way to the 80s and some peek into the 90s, some 90s era garage bands. Suicide Weather, which is a would be an early 80s homage to the beginnings of grunge, all the way up until to the mid 90s. with you know, the best of, you know, LA style grunge coming to that. We've got Nevermind the Eggnog, which is a completely punk Christmas album. So that's a lot of fun, and you know. We've got SoCal Punk, which is a, I would say, 80s era, 80s to early 90s era skate punk type of record. Good for all things skate punk, extreme sports, Hang 11, which is a very trippy surf album featuring, you know, 60s era mainly stuff all the way up into the early kind of 70s. And California Sun, which is a very very kind of a 60s to 70s era sunny beach style record suitable for any type of beachy activities. Sunshine pop, garage, those types of things. So stay tuned and check them out. What I'm really trying to do whenever I get to the studio is I'm trying to make magic.